right. Let's see here and make sure this mic is working. Double checking our mic. Got a couple of people I think are joining us. Let's make sure that we're. Can you guys see my camera? I don't know if you can see my camera or not, or see my face. I think it's got like a backdrop here. It's my first time using StreamYard, and I have told good things about it. I know a lot of people use it, but let's see if I can get the camera on. If you guys are on right now, and whether you're live or whether you're watching this, the recording, um, maybe help me out here and just let me know if the camera is on your end. If you can see my shining face, I'm beaming with joy. I can't wait to talk to you guys all. So I don't know if you guys can see me or not. I'll give you a couple of minutes here to jump on. I got some people coming on here right now. So we got one. A couple others looks like they're trying to join. Yeah, okay. Just kind of a few more things here to get done. Give everybody a minute to jump on here. Got some really cool stuff I want to talk about today. So excited about that. I'm actually going to try to switch over to my headphones. It's a little bit easier to focus on conversation if I got my headphones on. So if you guys are jumping on, you're joining right now, just let me know if you can hear me. The last couple times I've done this, I've had some technical difficulties, as they say, and trying to improve each time. So let me know if you can see me, if you can hear me. Just make a comment in the chat down there. Please jump on and tell me if you can see me or hear me. I believe that my camera. Let's see, here's Caitlin. Okay, Caitlin says you can see me. Okay, Sean. Okay, cool. Sean, I can see you. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to see if I can get this camera turned on here. And while we're waiting on everybody else to jump on, if you guys could just introduce yourselves in the chat. Let people know maybe what market you're in, because I know I'm doing this a little bit of a broader scope. So let's see what market people are in. And then I'm going to ask everybody that's joining right now, I'm going to switch over. So hang tight. Okay, I am now on my headphone audio, but I want to know if you guys can still hear me. So I'm going to get the camera turned on here in just 1 second. Caitlin, can you still hear me? Sean, can you still hear me? I just switched over. I had a little bit of a delay here. Can you guys hear me all right? I don't know if you guys can or not, but if you can hear me, okay, cool. All right, I'm seeing that. I'm switching the camera on now. So let's go with camera. How do we do that? Let's see here. How do we get the camera? This is where you need and I actually already talking to somebody. I need somebody that actually is a, let's see, let's go exit solo layout, remove from stage. Let's see here. You guys apologize for this. All right, let me here. Okay, can you? By the way, I don't know if you guys have used StreamYard before or not, but it's a good tool. But if you've never used it before, boy, it can be a little bit intimidating. So that's where I'm at right now. Hey, look at that. Can you guys see me now? I can see myself. So if you guys can see me, let me know. Okay, if you can see me, let me know. I think you guys can see me now. But if you, okay, no audio or video, Caitlin says now. But can you guys see me? Can you see, if you can see me now, make a comment, say yes. Okay, perfect. Caitlin, thank you so much. I'm gonna rely on Caitlin Beals. And we got audio and video check, Jenkins says. Appreciate you guys helping me out so much. I am not the most tech savvy. I know everybody says that, but I really am not. You know what's funny about it is I never had Facebook until 2020. COVID basically shut down my normal way of doing marketing. And so I reluctantly got a Facebook account. It's so funny looking back on it now, getting Facebook for the first time in 2020. And at that point I was 40 years old. So I never had a Facebook account, never cared about it, thought it was stupid. It's just funny how you look at things differently after a while. And then I don't think I got Instagram until about 2 years ago. So, you know, I'm learning, I'm growing, right? I'm coming into the digital age, but it's just kind of kicking and screaming. Although I will say this, I am embracing it. It's funny, I had a conversation with my kids. Some of you know I have 4 children, and they are between the ages of, well, our oldest is 22, and he's married, and then he just turned 22. His brother is 20 and a half, and he's engaged, and they're getting married this summer. Our daughter is 19, and then we have a surprise baby. She's 10. So we've never really been like super death on social media, but I definitely have not encouraged my kids. But as I've been coming into an understanding of how all this marketing stuff works, I have actually been telling my kids, listen, you guys are using social media anyway, because, you know, the older kids at least, because they're, you know, we kind of have this thing where it's like, if we didn't train them and teach them what we wanted them to know by the time they're 17, 18 years old, then it's our fault if they're doing things we don't want them to. So we kind of let them do what they're going to do to a certain extent, you know, once they're 18. So, but I just told my kids, it's like, listen, you have social media, you're already using it. Why don't you just use it to be a producer instead of a consumer? So it's funny how, you know, your mindset changes after a while, maybe getting some experience or maybe being forced to, like COVID forced me to jump on with social media stuff. So I'm definitely one of these people that's now, you know, a believer in social media, but specifically for the intended purpose of putting valuable content out to the world that can be then utilized to obviously speak to my audience, and which is right now it's you guys, it's other people who are going to come find us later, and then trying to accomplish some of the things that I'm trying to accomplish in my business. So I want to talk a little bit about business, and also wanted to hear from you all. I think if you're just joining us, I already mentioned this, but let us know who you are. Just maybe comment, you know, we can see your username, but, you know, just tell us what market you're in, so that we know what market you're in. And by the way, if something on here that I'm saying kind of resonates with you, it would be really helpful for me if you just kind of hit that like button, subscribe, share the channel or whatever, because I know that I don't know how it all works. Like I said, I'm not tech savvy, but for everything that we post there in the comment section, it helps YouTube let us know. So, hey, Shannon, good to see you. Shannon here's local in Meridian, Boise area. That's where I'm at. I'm actually filming this live right now from the Spurwing Country Club. My wife and I were able to buy a house here in Spurwing using creative financing of all things. We sold our property in Hillsboro. We moved here this year. And in September, we closed on the purchase of our home here in Spurwing. Very nice subdivision, beautiful neighborhood. And it's kind of cool because this particular, I'm looking out over the golf course right here from this main clubhouse. And right back, I don't know if you can see it, but right back in that room right there is where I had we had our, what do you call it, wedding rehearsal party, the dinner there. So we didn't get married here, but we had a rehearsal dinner here. My wife's parents lived just down the road. We moved back here to the Boise area to help out with my wife's family's grandparents. And I want to talk a little bit today about, big changes. For us, it's been a huge change. We've transplanted, kind of pulled up a little bit of our roots from Portland and moved back here to Boise. Been gone for 20 years. There's a ton of stuff that's changed here. And then just personally, it's a big change for us. And I know that it's difficult sometimes when you're either A, being forced to change, or B, when you kind of know, like, okay, things are changing and I want to change, or I need to change, but I don't really know how to do it. So I wanted to just talk a little bit today about some of the things that I'm changing in my business for 2025. And then also wanted to talk a little bit about, at least hear some feedback from some of you. And I've got my chat down here. So if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at the chat. I can see you guys talking, and I'll be looking for, if you ask a question or if you have something you want to say. But I want to talk about changes in my business this year and how I'm looking at 2025 because of the fact that, and if you were at my meetup just here earlier this month, I guess it would have been earlier this month. Seems like forever ago, but it was just a week or so ago. If you're at the PDX REI group meetup in Portland, then you know that I talked a little bit about some of the things you have to be, fully, obviously persuaded about the thing you're going to go do. And I don't want to relive that entire thing, but we talked about being fully persuaded, and we talked about you need to fully pursue it, right? And then we also mentioned how you need to be fully purposed. You need to know why you're doing what you're doing. So talking about all those things and combining it into, looking at 2025, like what is it that I'm trying to do? Me personally, I had to force myself. And I told you guys, if you were there at the meetup, I told you need to actually force yourself to sit down and think about what you're wanting 2025 to look like. And then are you actually sure that you're supposed to be doing this? And here's what's interesting about it. I was at that time of that meetup, I was talking to somebody in the PDX REI group, and they might be watching this later or live right now. There's nothing that I'm about to say that is detrimental about this person. I'm not going to mention names, but I was actually kind of moving toward a potential mutual agreement with this particular person at the time of the meetup. So I challenged the group to, really sit down and do some really, kind of like ratchet down and put some, pen to paper and ask yourself, the hard questions. Am I doing what I know I should be doing? And what's interesting about it is about a week later, I jumped on a Zoom call, or a phone call rather, with this person, this individual, and come to find out that my question had kind of sparked some thoughts in their mind that they weren't quite sure that real estate investing was really the thing that they were wanting to do or going to focus on it in that particular way, the way that we were talking about doing. And so, in a way, I kind of shot myself in the foot, by asking that question, because it ended up kind of unraveling, several hours of, conversations and even contractual agreement that we had put together and put forward. And that contract, obviously didn't get signed. It was a joint venture agreement, and we ended up going in a different direction, and so did they. But the point is this: I would so much rather have had that happen in December of 2024 than to have things come undone in January or February or March or even June of 2025. You see what I'm saying? So when I say this, Caitlin says that meetup changed my trajectory. Caitlin, I'd love to know a little bit more about how. Maybe you can post that in the comments. Just, I know it's kind of hard sometimes in the comment section, but maybe you could just tell us a little bit about what exactly it was that changed. But I know that was a really powerful meetup for me personally. I really, of course, I love my meetups. I love meeting there with you guys. But I know that several people gave me feedback that meetup was especially helpful. And so if you were there, maybe just comment if you were there, and then comment how it changed, your trajectory or your perspective. But this is the main thing, is what I'm trying to say. For me personally, I've asked myself that question here the last several months. And there's a couple of things that I know as of right now, I am fully persuaded about. in the sense of I know what I want 2025 to look like, and I know some of the things that are going to have to change in my business, the way I do things, in order for that to happen. One of those things for me is literally doing this, what we're doing right now. I know that for me to do what I want to do in 2025, and what I'm fully persuaded, what I'm totally convinced, right? You have to be convinced, right? And that was what I told this person that ended up going a different direction. I said, listen, there was some kind of a thing that was mentioned like, oh, I'm so sorry, and I hope this doesn't. It's like, no, I would much rather have this conversation now, and I'm not even going to try to convince you or talk you out of this or talk you into anything, because some of you know the statement: a man convinced, or a woman, a person convinced against their will. Sometimes that terminology works, right? A person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still, meaning that if you are not fully convinced or fully persuaded that you're supposed to be doing real estate investing, or you're supposed to be posting social media content, or you're supposed to be, pursuing wholesaling as opposed to flipping, or flipping versus wholesaling or lending. Some of you told me you have different things you want to try to go after. If you're not fully convinced of that, then there's no way it's going to work. I mean, think about it. A house divided against itself cannot stand. I think Abraham Lincoln said that, talking about the Civil War, but he was quoting Jesus from the Bible. A house divided cannot stand. And so you can't have this mentality or this attitude, well, I think I want to do this. No, you got to drop the I think I want. You have to drop the I thinks, and you have to start actually looking at this as, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing? And for some of you, the reason why you haven't been successful yet, and I even have some of this in my business, where I look at and say, well, how come these things, 2, 3, 4, 5 years later, I still haven't really, gotten any traction in this particular area? It's because in my own mind, I wasn't convinced that it was actually important. I wasn't actually fully persuaded that it was what I was supposed to be doing. So I'd love to hear from some of you. I see some comments here. Caitlin says she decided to leave ops manager position. She's been waiting to focus solely on the goal of 10xing her old W-2 income. I love that. Caitlin, you and I have talked about that before. And great comment. Caitlin says, I realized I was spread too thin to make any progress. Man, haven't we all been there, right? And I know I'm there probably still right now, but especially when it comes to setting up the audio video stuff. Let's see here. I see K Fizzle Dizzle. I don't know who that is, but she says, I think that's she. She said, I was there for my first time. Something I took away. I don't know why I think that's a she. It could be either. But it says, when it comes to a new venture, is not just a great mentor, but a mentor with results. Appreciate you, Pastor John. So some of you know I'm a pastor. Heaven, yeah, that's right. We got that. So, in my business this year, some of the things that I'm looking to change is literally doing more of what we're doing right now. So I have kind of intentionally just put it in place that I'm going to force myself, even if it's clunky, even if it's a little bit, my background might change, the screen might be a little grainy, whatever. I'm going to force myself to start having more of these conversations in this format, the one-to-many approach, because of the fact that I do believe that this is what I'm supposed to do. Now, I don't think that everybody should do this, but I know that this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be having these conversations with you all. I know that as some of you, by the way, if any of you have seen some of my recent posts, it's Kai, that's who it is. Hey, Kai. So if you guys have seen some of my recent posts or read through them, by the way, I know they've been very lengthy, so I already know that I have a reason for that, and I'll tell you in a minute. But if you've been reading any of my recent posts on my profile or in some of the different groups, there's a word that I've been talking about for the last 3 or 4 days. How many of you, I'm just curious if any of you have been reading it, what's that word? If you know the word that I've been focusing on, it's a particular word that I kind of did a breakdown of, what it means, why you need it, and how to get it. If you know what that word is, pop it into the chat, the comments, because for me personally, the idea, there's Shannon says proximity. Thank you, Shannon. She says she loves it. Here's why I've been focusing on that word and why I went to such lengths on kind of breaking this down. Proximity is right. That's the word, proximity. Why have I been talking so much about proximity? Well, because as I started reflecting on 2024 and also 2025, what I started realizing was that in order for anything to actually change, I was going to have to do a hard look at myself. Talked about that for a minute. And I was actually going to have to look at what I wanted in 2025. And then this is one of the benefits of taking time to reflect is I went back and instead of looking at, what all needs to change, how, not so much what am I doing wrong? How do I, what have I not been doing? What I started looking at what's working. I think about that. Sometimes when we look back, we think about, all the things that we're not doing, and by the way, doesn't everybody have a list about a mile long, right? You got a list about a mile long of all the things that you're not doing or the things you should be doing. I totally get that. But here's the deal. Sometimes in our looking back and kind of, our critiquing of ourselves, we forget the fact that there are things we can look at that have been done right. So for me, I started thinking a little bit about what's worked, what has been efficient, what has been effective for me. What is it that I am fully persuaded I'm supposed to be doing, that I can lean into with all my heart, with, all my energy. And one of the things that has worked for me is being in proximity to other people who are also doing the things that I want to do. I mean, I know it's not that profound. It's actually pretty simple. But the fact of the matter is that by being in the room with somebody else who's doing the things that I want to do, there's something that happens there where you absorb things that you didn't even know you needed. And at the same time, you're going to hear and learn things that you never even thought of. And the fact that that you're in the same room, you're in proximity to that person that's doing what you want to do, is going to have a major change. Now, if you're a parent, or if you had, parents, most of us had parents that told us these things, and parents, you probably told your kids these things. You want to be careful who you hang out with, right? Especially if you have teenage parents. Now, our teenage kids, I can say this with, with somewhat regret, and I'm not going to get into personal things, but I made decisions where I let some things slide with some of the people that my kids hung out with, especially my kids as they were in their 13, 14 years. And I didn't want to be like, oh man, I don't want to be the Debbie Downer all the time, but I kind of let some things slide. And here's what ended up happening is it actually ended up having a detrimental effect on my children. Some of you know that, how that works. Well, why do we think that stops just because, we grow up? It doesn't stop, right? The people you hang out with are going to have an effect on you. And the people that you have been hanging out with in the past that have helped elevate you and brought your thinking to another level, or changed the way you saw things, or maybe affected your perspective, or even affected the things you were passionate about. I know that there's been people that I've been in proximity to that, listening to them talk, I was like, man, I never even thought about that. And it changed, a certain trajectory of where I was going to go. That still applies. And by the way, it applies in both directions, right? So it applies in the sense of going elevating or bringing you down. And the reason why some of you have been successful in some things here in the last little, couple months, weeks even, or the last several years, is because in certain areas you have put yourself in proximity to certain people that have helped you or affected you. And by the way, this is the power today of social media. The social media, when used correctly, everybody knows the name Jordan Peterson, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys know this, but how many of you know what the Squat Up Summit is? If you know what Squat Up Summit is, why don't you just put in the comments, Squat Up. I want to just kind of test. We got a handful of people on here right now, so I'm curious how many people know what Squat Up is. The Squat Up Summit coming up. Caitlin says squat up. You know what it's like. I get to see some hearts and some emojis. By the way, you guys are welcome to do that anytime. You can post those hearts in there. It's going to help the chat, the algorithm. But I want to know also that you're there and that you're listening. So if you know what Squat Up is, maybe just make a comment there, because Squat Up Summit last year, if you were there, then you know this. But if you weren't there, Squat Up Summit is the event that was put on by Pace Morby and Jamil Damji. Those are two of my personal mentors in real estate. And they had, it was amazing. So let's see who was there. Grant Cardone spoke. let's see, what's it, Cody Sanchez. And I did not realize what a foul mouth Cody Sanchez had. She dropped more F-bombs than anybody combined, all the other speakers combined. So I was not happy about that because, it's not like like, oh, my little ears, it hurts. It's just like, I think it's unprofessional. So, and if I saw her, I would tell her the same thing. Plus I'm older than her. So, I kind of have to do that, fatherly thing. But I think besides the fact that she has a potty mouth, Cody Sanchez is one of the most powerful voices in America today for the idea of bringing American businesses back from the dead, so to speak, and then also keeping American business in America. I love that. I'm actually one of her students. She's one of my mentors. I'm taking some of her courses right now. And I haven't personally met her, but I got to hear her speak at Squat Up Summit last year. I think her social media content and Grant Cardone's social media content are the reasons why most of us know these names, right? It's because they have stuff out there. So there's this amazing event called Squat Up Summit, and they're going for round 2 this year, second annual event. This year, Jordan Peterson, again, another name that we know because of social media. Jordan Peterson's going to be there speaking. It's going to be amazing. Let's see here. Who else? Shannon says, she is, this is David Goggins. Now, again, I don't know how they're going to put a filter or if they're even going to try to on him, because I have seen his social media stuff, and he's also got a potty mouth. But, and by the way, I just want to let people know, I'm an American. I believe everybody has the right to say what they want to. I just think that some of those things are so unprofessional, or it brings down the value of the message that you're trying to put out there. I don't know if anybody's ever told them that. But I think that if they were actually trying to be the best version of themselves, they would clean up their language a little bit. So, just my personal opinion. You can cuss me out in the chat if you want to, but I don't think this crowd's going to. But the point is, Squat Up Summit is all about proximity. It's about having that ability to be in the room with other people and have them influence and affect your thinking, and it's very, very powerful. Now, the thing about Squat Up Summit is it's a big event, right? I think they've already got like 5,000 people with the tickets that have sold out. So, it's going to be amazing. It's awesome. But I will say this, one thing about the Squat Up Summit that I don't think people realize, especially if you're going there for the first time, is, first of all, very, very unlikely you're going to get to meet, some of the main speakers. And then secondly, it's also sometimes hard to connect on a personal level about your personal business. And the reason I mention that is because I want to talk a little bit about this idea of proximity for just a few more minutes, and in the sense of how it relates to the offer that I put out there in my post on proximity. If you guys saw that 3 out of the 3 sections that I did on proximity, I put an offer there at the end of that kind of that thesis about getting in the room with myself, and we're going to do a small handful. It's going to be kind of an intimate setting. We're going to do 2 days. It's going to be in Portland, Oregon in February. It's going to be late February. I believe we're shooting for February 20 through the 22nd. And by the way, if you guys are regulars at our PDX REI group, I want you to understand that's not what we're doing. Okay. Now that's going to be part of it. So the nights that we're going to be there is actually the night of the meetup. But I don't want you to get hung up on the thought of, oh, this is just going to be another PDX REI group meetup. No, this is going to be awesome. I've got some really, really cool stuff that we're going to do. I'm actually super stoked about doing it. Just so you know, I don't believe I'm going to make any money on this. I want to be really clear about that. Is there a cost associated? Yes. But as far as actually making money, it's not going to, in fact, it's going to take away in a certain sense from my business because I'm going to be there. Shannon, if you haven't seen the third post, then I'll make sure I'll drop it into the chat. But if you haven't seen it, go and read it. So I've got an offer out there to come to Portland and hang out with myself and a small group of other people. And by the way, I'm going to be bringing people to speak in this kind of small, intimate setting. I'm going to have a couple of people that I personally work with in my real estate business in the Portland area. These are some very, very powerful people in the real estate space. And in fact, they're so busy, they're so good at what they do that they don't really ever come to my meetups. And I know it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but they're so busy, they got so much stuff, but I've already got one particular guy locked in. I'm working on the other. I'm going to have a gal there that I believe is going to be helpful. So if you're interested in the proximity idea and you really believe in that, then I want you guys to make sure you keep up with me. If you haven't DM'd me already, then make sure you do. Just text me the word or DM me the word proximity, and I'm going to be having some details I send out to everybody here shortly. What I'm doing right now, just so you know, is I'm kind of getting a feel for the interest. I've already got a ton of people that have responded initially, but it's only been out there for a day, so I kind of want to see how this goes as far as actual interest. But here's what I'm talking about in relation to Squat Up Summit. Squat Up Summit is a huge mega event, right? It's awesome. It's powerful. It has its place, and I want you to be there because I'm planning on being there, and I want to take somebody from our proximity event. I'm going to choose somebody from the proximity event. We're going to do a random drawing. I'm going to choose somebody to come to Squat Up Summit with me. I'm going to pay for your ticket, okay? So that's how this is going to go. But I want you to see, it's going to be really cool because Squat Up Summit is in March. February is when we're doing our proximity event, and these are going to be two totally different events back to back. I don't know what's going over here, but never mind. People got to be people. And so I want you guys to understand that whenever you're coming to this event, there are two different types. There's two different styles of events that these are going to be. So Squat Up is going to be huge, amazing, awesome. It's going to be epic. I definitely think you should go. The proximity event we're doing in Portland is going to be smaller. It's going to be low key. We're going to be in a room together. We're going to be talking about my business. We're going to be talking about your business personally. We're going to talk about what you want to do, even if you don't have a business yet, but you're wanting to get started. We're going to be answering questions on specific steps on what you can do in your business. It's going to be at some really cool locations in Portland. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to go out and see some of my projects. We're going to go there in person. I'm going to talk about how we got the contract, how we negotiated it, what we're doing, and where we're going. I've got one property in Hillsboro. I've got another property in Portland that might still be available to go do the walkthrough on. But I have this idea in mind because I know how important it's been for me. Okay, so because of the fact that it's affected my life in such a way, and I made mention of this in my post 5 years ago, being in the space with Pace Morby, being in the room, just a kind of small office setting before he was Pace Morby that everybody knew. He was just a guy that was out there hustling, grinding, doing his thing. And I got to catch him as he was scaling right before his growth exploded. And for me, being in that space at that time, it had such a profound effect on me. It changed my entire business trajectory. Okay. So I want you guys to know that if you want something like that for your business, I'm going to be paying it back by doing the same exact thing. Again, there's a cost associated, but I'm not making money on this. I'm doing it because I want to help some of you the same way that I got helped 5 years ago. And I was just kind of really getting started, like for real. I had done a couple flips, but I had no idea what I was doing. So I'm going to talk about that. So proximity is super important. If you guys are interested in doing this, make sure you DM me directly via Facebook Messenger. You can make the comment in here, but I don't know with YouTube chat. I don't really know. You can please do. Just if you're interested, just post it in here in the comments. Say proximity, and then also if you can find me on Facebook and DM me, because I want to be able to get that information out to the small handful of people that I think are going to show up. So, but let's talk about this too. In the sense that 2025 is literally tomorrow. At the time of this recording, it's tomorrow, right? So this is New Year's Eve, 2024. I want to just paint a picture for you guys in the sense of you need to understand that if you're going to change anything, or if anything is going to change for 2025, more than likely, now you could be the rare exception to this, but more than likely, proximity is going to be the thing that does that. Again, proximity meaning being in the same room, being within reach, being near to the person or persons who are doing the things that you want to do, that share the same values that you do. That and by the way, that has to maybe even align with your morals and your ethics. If you're part of the PDX REI group, you know what I mean. We talk about our values every single time we meet up because it's important. There's a lot of people in the real estate space that are not exactly ethical. And, I'm not just talking about maybe their language. I'm talking about the way that they do things. And I'm not going to name names here because I don't think it's appropriate to call people out like this, live. but I do know people by name in Portland that have such a terrible way of doing business that I tell people, especially sellers, I tell sellers all the time, listen, if you're going to talk to other people and get other prices, I totally respect that. But I want you to know, if you get a price from this person right here, this is what they're going to do. They do this all the time. If you hear from this company right here, I'll just tell you right now, this is how they're going to treat you. How do I know that? Because I usually end up coming in behind them, and I have personally on at least 3 different deals in Portland in the last 2 years where I had to go and clean up the mess that some other wholesalers and some other even big investors in the area made, and doing things completely unethically. So what I'm saying is your values have to align with the people you're in proximity with, right? So if you have some things that you want to try to do in 2025, we can talk about goal setting, we can talk about all these things, but you can write down a notebook full of stuff, right? And have all your vision and everything lined out. Listen, more than likely, it's going to take getting in the same room with the person that's doing the thing that you want to do, and that person that also shares the same type of values and believes the same things. I'm not talking about, a mirror. I'm just talking about going the same direction, right? Walking the same path. And so that's why I put that invitation out there for this event. I'm calling it the proximity event. I couldn't think of anything more clever than that. If you guys can help me out, but we're going to test the waters. We're going to see how this goes. This is going to be the first time we're doing it. If it works, we're going to do it again. If it doesn't, then it's okay. No harm, no foul. It's a test, right? But I believe there's enough people that have the same values and are trying to go in the same direction. And if you have an interest in being kind of in the room and asking questions and just seeing what's going on in someone else's business, then I want you to let me know, because I want to get you the details and show you how you can be a part of that. And again, from that group, whoever responds and is there with me in Portland, we're going to actually be selecting someone. I don't know if we're going to draw straws or whatever we're going to do, but we're going to select someone to go to Dallas, Texas in March to the Squat Up Summit. Obviously a much bigger, different type of event, but it's going to be epic. So hope you guys can make it out to that. So I see here, I'm going to check the chats. By the way, if you guys are still hearing me, and I don't know, it's been a couple minutes since anybody posted, maybe give me like a heart or a thumbs up or something so I know that you guys are hearing me. Let's see here if I can see. Shannon, I'm looking back a little bit farther up. Shannon said, I'm studying Think and Grow Rich. Okay, yep, Robert Kiyosaki. Interestingly enough about Robert Kiyosaki, and I'll say this because I have heard this from several other people, is Robert Kiyosaki is a little bit of a, well, not a little bit, he is apparently, he's, well, I'll put it this way. He's not somebody you probably want to leave your daughters hanging around. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But Robert Kiyosaki, obviously Think and Grow Rich. You have to decide what you want. Let me say something about that. This might be a little bit of a deviation. It'll take me a few more minutes, but I don't necessarily know that we get to decide what we want and who we want to be. I personally, again, I talked about this being fully purposed. I personally think that every one of us was created with a purpose. Okay. In other words, I think that God as our creator, and I'll go ahead and even say, I think Jesus Christ as our creator. And again, if you read the Bible, you know that's very clear. But we'll use the term God as the creator. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the Bible says in Revelation 4:11 that all things were created for his glory, right? For his pleasure. So I think that what you have to find out is not so much just decide what you want to do or who you want to be. I think what's better is to find out and decide who it is that God made you to be. And that finding out who you are will directly inform what you do. Okay. And I know that's kind of a, what does that mean? Well, I don't have time to go into it today, but I would say that who you are is more important than what you do. Okay. So some of you, the reason why you haven't been fully persuaded about this is because it's very possible, like somebody I was mentioning earlier, that it's really not even what you're supposed to do. The reason you feel this reluctance or this hesitancy to do some of these things could be because of the fact that this is just not who you're made to be. Maybe you're supposed to be doing something different because who you are is going to align better with something else, okay? And I think it's actually okay to accept that. In fact, I think it's actually really foolish not to. So if you're watching this um, and you're trying to kind of figure some of these things out, as far as next year, what am I going to do? Maybe start asking yourself, who am I? Who did God create me to be? What does that actually even look like? And by the way, you say the best person to ask who you're supposed to be, who God made you to be. You know who the best person to ask you or to answer that question would be? God. I don't know if you know this or not, but you can pray, you can talk to God. Maybe you won't hear back right away, but I would say it's a really good idea to pray, talk to God, ask him who you are, okay, who he made you to be, and listen and let him inform you, okay? Now, if you have questions about that, maybe we'll do something else later on. Um, Think and Grow Rich. Okay, yeah, Think and Grow Rich by, yes, Napoleon Hill, not Robert Kiyosaki. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you for mentioning that, correcting that. You're absolutely right. Think and Grow Rich is actually a very, very good read. I differ a little bit on some things, but it's a very good read. And thank you for correcting me there on that, Shannon. But who you are will inform what you do. And so maybe instead of deciding what I want to do this year, talk about, first of all, go to the base and say, who am I? Okay, who is it that I'm supposed to be? Who is it that God created me to be? And then how does that work itself out in this particular thing that I'm trying to do? Meaning, and by the way, if you're in Sub 2 or any of the different groups that Pace has created, you know this. It's just a different terminology. He talks about you need to find out what's your avatar, right? Who are you? Are you a buyer? Are you a connector? Or are you a wholesaler? Are you a visionary? There's a lot of different things that he's kind of done, and those are all really, really good. They are pointing in the right direction. So if you guys understand, your being who you are is much more important than what you do. And a lot of times the things that we do, they either align with who we are or they don't. And if they don't, then it's going to cause friction. You're going to have this internal struggle and it's going to feel wrong or it's just not going to quite be right. It's not going to work correctly. So you got to find out the thing that you are supposed to be doing. And how do you find that out? Normally, it's been in my experience, you find that out by going back to who you are. Who am I supposed to be? So I hope that makes sense. That was kind of a little bit of a deviation. I wasn't planning on going there, but I felt like it was appropriate to say, and I needed to say that. So if you guys got help from this, go ahead and post. Give me some love, show me some love in the group. Give me a fire, give me a heart, give me something. But if you are interested in the proximity event that we're going to be doing in Portland in February 20th through the 22nd, it's going to be awesome. I think you guys are going to have a great time. Let me check my calendar real quick and make sure I'm telling you correctly. So February 20th, I believe, is the date that we have picked out. Let me just double check that. Yeah, it's going to be February 20th. That's a Thursday. 21st, that's a Friday. And then we're going to wrap things up Saturday morning, let everybody get back home. It's going to be in Portland. The event location is someplace that I'm still working on. But if you guys are interested in that, make sure you drop the word proximity here in the chat or DM me on Messenger. And I'm going to have details. It's going to be affordable, but it's not going to be free. And I say affordable meaning I don't want to price this thing out of range for people that are trying to get started. But I also don't want people in the room that aren't serious about what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about your particular business. We're going to be talking about, I'm going to show you how my business is working. And I'll be talking about just the different things that I've learned along the way, hopefully save you guys some time in your learning curve. But it's going to be really fun. It's going to be great. I'm going to try to overwhelm you with awesomeness, including picking one person that comes to this proximity event. I'm picking one person to go with me to the Squat Up Summit in Dallas in March. So hope that helps you guys. I hope you guys are ready to have a great new year. And it does start tomorrow, by the way. Somebody asked me here and said, what are you doing for New Year's Eve? I said, I'm going to try to get to bed early tonight and get up and just start, grinding it out tomorrow. I love working. I love trying to help people. And I'm looking forward to what we're going to be doing here in the next year. So if you guys have some things you want help with, make sure you raise your hand, so to speak. Make sure you make the comment proximity. I'm not going to go chasing people, but if you guys are wanting to do that, then you need to let me know so that I can get the details out to you for the proximity event coming up in Portland. It's going to be 2/20 through 22 of 2025. So February 20th through 22nd, 2025, going to be some really cool stuff we're going to do, and hopefully it's going to help launch your business or get your business unstuck, maybe even just get your personal mentality unstuck so you know what to do next. So appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Hope that you're all having a great time with your family this evening. I'm going to be watching the Boise State Broncos game tonight with my family and then try to get to bed, like I said, early. But until next time, we'll see you on the next Tuesday Talks. We're going to try to start doing these we're not going to try, we're going to start doing these every Tuesday. And it's going to be at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. if you're in Mountain Standard Time. And if this was valuable to you, please make sure you make mention of it in the comments and give me some love down there, and then share this video, and be sure you like and subscribe on the YouTube channel here. We're going to start growing this channel out so we can get some reach. All right. Take care, you guys. Talk to you soon. Happy New Year.